I've seen a lot of people jump on the cheapest countertop ice makers, only to end up with a machine that freezes a handful of misshapen cubes and then clogs up on the first weekend of parties. The regret of spending a couple of dollars on a deal and then having to replace it before the holiday season is real, and it makes you wonder whether a slightly pricier, built-in model might actually be the smarter buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Manitowoc UYF 0140A NEO is that kind of built-in appliance you usually only see in small restaurants or coffee shop back-of-house areas. But it's marketed for home kitchens that want a reliable source of clear, half-dice ice without the hassle of refilling trays. The first thing I thought about when I saw it was the real-world placement. It's designed to sit under a countertop, which means you need a dedicated space about the size of a dishwasher, plus a water line and a drain. If you have a kitchen island with a cabinet that's already set up for a compact fridge or wine cooler, the fit is almost seamless. Otherwise, you might need to carve out a niche in a pantry or a wet bar, which is a hidden cost that many casual buyers overlook. What matters most after the installation is whether the machine actually delivers ice that meets everyday expectations. Manitowoc calls the ice clear half-dice, measuring roughly 3/8 of an inch thick and a little over an inch long. In practice, that size is perfect for filling a tumbler of bourbon or topping off a pitcher of sangria without drowning the drink. Because the cubes are clear, they melt slower than cloudy, cracked ice you get from cheap bagged packs. I've watched a few friends pour a drink, let the ice sit for 10 minutes, and the half-dice still looked solid while the bagged ice turned to slush. That's a practical benefit you can taste, especially if you entertain regularly. The production capacity is another point that separates this model from the countertop crowd. Manitowoc rates it at about 140 pounds of ice per day, which translates to roughly 7,080 dozen half-dice cubes in a 24-hour cycle. For a family of 4 that runs a weekend brunch, you could easily have a full bin of ice ready by morning without needing to run the machine all day. The storage compartment holds enough ice to keep a party going for a few hours, so you're not constantly opening the door to add more. The downside is that the storage bin is fixed. If you try to overfill it, the machine will automatically shut off to protect the compressor, and you'll hear a short click before it resumes. It's a safety feature, not a flaw, but it does mean you need to be mindful of how much you're pulling at once. Precise controls are built into a small digital panel on the front. You set the desired production level, and the machine monitors water temperature and flow to keep the ice consistent. The panel also displays a clean reminder after a set number of cycles, which is useful because mineral buildup can affect clarity. In my experience, the cleaning cycle is straightforward. You pop open the water reservoir, run a rinse, and wipe the bin. The design of the water inlet makes it easy to disconnect for a quick flush, something that many home users forget to do and later regret when the ice starts tasting metallic. Now, who should actually consider this unit? If you're the kind of host who runs weekly cocktail evenings, a small catering side hustle, or you simply love having crystal clear ice for your coffee drinks, the Manitowoc NEO pays for itself in convenience and presentation. It's also a good fit for people who already have a dedicated undercounter space and are comfortable with a bit of plumbing work. The water line connection is standard inch, and you can tie it into an existing cold water faucet or a dedicated line. On the other hand, if your kitchen is already cramped, you don't entertain often, or you're happy with a bag of ice from the grocery store, the investment may not make sense. The upfront cost, plus any potential cabinet modification, can easily exceed the price of a few premium bagged ice packs. One hidden trade-off that shows up after you've lived with the machine for a month is the noise level. The compressor hums louder than a typical refrigerator, especially during the initial freeze cycle when it's pulling a full bin of water. It's not a scream, but if you have an open-plan living area and the unit is tucked under a kitchen island, you'll notice a low rumble. Most reviewers I've read say it's tolerable, but it's worth mentioning if you're sensitive to background noise. Another practical consideration is the water usage. The NEO draws a steady stream of filtered water to keep the ice clear, which means you'll see a slight uptick in your water bill if you run it at maximum capacity all day. The machine does have an auto shutoff that stops production once the bin is